Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Dropkick Podcast. I'm joined with special guest co-host. He has one of the most recognizable and one of the most successful Instagram pages of all time. That's right, Justin, aka the Wrestling Classic. My good brother. Welcome.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, man. This is such an honor that you wanted me to co-host this interview with you. I've been a Rob Van Dam fan since I was a little kid. So the fact that we are interviewing the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam, and you're letting me on here, I really do appreciate it, man. It's going to be a great interview, a great conversation. And I'm excited to ask Rob Van Dam some random but interesting questions.
It was a good, I hope people enjoy the conversation. But other than that, check out this dope-ass TWC t-shirt that you can find on
TWCshop.com, TWCshop.com if you want the baseball tees and the hoodies and stuff. But if you just want a regular t-shirt, take advantage of those Pro Wrestling Tees sales because we also got a store on Pro Wrestling Tees. So whether you want to get the shirts from Pro Wrestling Tees, get the shirts from Pro Wrestling Tees. If you want more options like hoodies and crop top hoodies and baseball tees and all that other type of stuff, be sure to check out TWCshop.com. And since I'm plugging stuff, read my articles at 1:37 p.m. Subscribe to the TWC show wherever you listen to podcasts. Daniel's been co-hosted on the TWC show multiple times, so many times, more times than I can remember. And also check out my casual conversations on my YouTube channel, The Wrestling Classic. Easy find, search it up. YouTube, The Wrestling Classic. Check out my conversations. And yeah, Daniel, I'm excited. We're going to interview Rob Van Dam, one of my childhood favorites. And, we might just, have a little fun with Rob Van Dam on this interview.
Let's get to it. But I hope you guys enjoy the interview. What a lifestyle. And that is all.
Let's go. Ooh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the episode of Dropkick Podcast. I am your host, Daniel, and today I'm joined with Justin, aka the Wrestling Classic. But right now, at this very moment, we got WWE Champion, ECW Champion, TNA Champion. You can also go check out Rob's very own CBD company at RVDCBD.com for all your cannabis products. But at this time, the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam. How are you doing today, Rob?
Bam, awesome. Awesome. Great day.
That's good, man.
No, glad to hear it. We also just quickly want to give you a quick congratulations. We know you recently just got married to Katie Forbes. So big congratulations to that. I was curious though, because I've how'd you guys meet? Like, when did you guys' relationship start, and how did that all happen?
Mm-hmm. I met Katie at a wrestling convention, the Icons, and that was when WrestleMania was in Dallas, Texas, and yeah, it was at a convention. Luke Hawx was her trainer, the promoter of a New Orleans wrestling organization called Wildcats.
Yeah,
Luke Hawx is a friend for a long time. Everybody in the business knows Luke. He was actually in my one and only starring role so far, Wrong Side of Town. Luke was in a fight scene with that. That's where I remember meeting him. But he introduced us. The weekend itself, I've never really gotten into publicly because it was 2016, and this was like I'd be going through some bad times, and the weekend was actually rock bottom, and it's some pretty amazing rock bottom stories out, but out of the shit, a flower was produced, and I also met Katie there, but she had nothing to do with the crazy week I had. Like, few of the wrestlers know because they were with me. I did actually a lot of fans saw me. Anyone who saw me knew that I was a little bit under the influence. I was drinking through the whole thing, and that's what people do when they're down, right? Is drink.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Fuck it. But I remember JR was doing a podcast, something. Karen Angle came and got me at the hotel, and I just back from who knows where. But she asked if I would stand in for somebody that was supposed to do JR's on stage live interview thing or whatever. And I was like, sure, and man, it was, and fans saw that I was drinking. The fans were sending me drinks while I was on stage, and JR well, what am I, chopped liver?
No, I love you guys' relationship. I think you guys as a duo look great. Like you guys were part of the reason why I started watching Impact again, because when you guys were together on that show doing your thing and those clips started going viral, I'm like, oh, what is Rob Van Dam and Katie doing? So I just want to start off by saying congratulations to you both, and it's amazing. And it is true, like some of the greatest stuff comes out of the shittiest times, and it's just, if you're patient enough to wait for it to happen, you'll see it at some point.
No, absolutely. But like you talk about, Rob and Katie, but like if you two can team up against any other couple in a wrestling ring, who would it be?
I don't do fantasy thoughts. Are always hard, so I'll just think of any other couple. I know she loves the Scarlett, so
Karrion.
That would be a banger, Karrion and Scarlett versus Rob Van Dam and Katie Forbes.
We'll pull that.
But with kicking 2021 off this year, how has this year been treating you compared to last year?
So good, dude.
That's good to hear.
In tune with the universe. I spend a lot of time focusing, on energy, and a lot of people ask, how do you do that, and how do you read somebody's energy? And you have your own receptors, and so it's basically not focusing so much on them, but how you react to them, and that tells you a lot about them. All right, how it changes energy. And for instance, if you feel your energy go down or it's compromised every time you're around this person, it's probably an energy issue. I have a lot of people like that. Like, they're so draining to be around because they think the opposite from me, and so anytime I'm around them, whatever I say, they're going to offer the opposite. It's just so much work. I live in a drama-free life, and I just know that. And I've been paying attention. And 2021 is a rewarding year. Like, a lot of full circles are coming together, and it's happening really soon too. Like, this part of the year, like in the next several weeks, like a lot of stuff is coming together. I've been checking with my friends, like, you feel it, and they say the same. Oh, guys are feeling it too.
Oh, absolutely.
No, definitely. And I strongly believe in the whole energy thing. It's a lot of that toxic environment thing. When you take yourself away from that toxic environment, you start feeling things are better when you're around that energy that's more on the same wavelength as you. So completely understand. But talking about this year and things getting better, RVDCBD is really kicking off this year, correct?
Yes, it's an excellent year for RVDCBD. And, just it kind of sounds repetitive because we're working on collaborating with so many different people, so many different products, and even companies and projects and products that aren't even necessarily, you wouldn't think of them as being related normally to the CBD world. But because I have this team of people around me, a lot of people are going to them. And they're filtering a lot of offers and shit that usually comes my way that I usually don't have time to handle and juggle. And so they're handling a lot of other business, like this video game that's what's the video game called?
Virtual Basement.
So that's the company.
Game. It's a virtual pro wrestling game. I forget the name as well, but I know what you're talking about. They got a lot of legends and stuff in there.
Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, something like not the road life, but something that has to do with paying your dues, the journey, whatever it is. It'll probably pop in my head in 2 minutes. But that came through partners and a lot of stuff does. Even recently, been like appearances and stuff. Vice TV contacts them to talk to me about being on some episodes and merchandise, T-shirts. But the CBD itself is really where the nucleus is, and I'm going to grow into handling other cannabinoids besides just CBD as well. That's call it an entourage effect when you can attack it from different levels, and that's the way Mother Nature put it together. Like if before we ever heard of CBD, if you had a bud of marijuana, people might not know, but it has CBD in it. and I'm just pulling this number out, but if CBD was 2% of the bud, and then it was, THC and terpenes and all these there's over 100 cannabinoids in marijuana, but you would have to smoke if it was 2% of it. If it was 10% of it, let's just say, if 10% of that bud was CBD, then you would have to smoke 10 of those buds in order to get the CBD that you could get one concentrated CBD dominant bud. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
When you think about it, like, it's always been there, but now we're able to separate it, utilize the different elements for the different desired results. And it's really it's something that I didn't know we were always going to separate it, but I always knew that we were going to look at the plant and realize that it can help way more people than it can hurt. And really the people that it hurts the most are the 1%ers that rule the world. Prescriptions, fuel, alcohol and tobacco, all these conglomerate companies, they're the ones that marijuana really hurts. That's why we have prohibition, but we're at the end of it, and you guys are ahead of
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was gonna ask, with CBD kicking it off, but like, do you wish you had control of CBD back in the day when you were performing at like a high level?
That's one of those questions, where it's like you change part of the past, and who knows where you would be right now.
That's true. Yeah,
I kind of path and the way in the baby steps that were taken to get where I'm at right now. I love my life. I love the quality of it, everything in it. Drama-free zone. That's why I hardly ever leave the house. Other people love drama. I absolutely.
Maybe to rephrase that question though, do you think CBD, now that we know about controlled CBD and like your product, for example, would that benefit the talent today that's on the road and working at a high pace? Yeah,
if you look at RVDCBD on Instagram, we've got some testimonials from some of the boys at Impact that we had talk about the product. Product, I was handing it around to a lot of the wrestlers. I actually had a kickoff party.
Yeah.
A huge mansion here in Las Vegas, and when Impact was in town, so a lot of the boys came out there. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, I got some comments on there. You can hear other people talk about it, but for sure, but that's just evolution. You know what I mean? Like, we're still going, and wrestlers are still going to get fined for having in their piss right now, and then probably won't very much longer. But if they're going to stop doing that, I don't expect them to make like a public announcement about it. They could do it quietly for the betterment of everybody's health, and then maybe not make such a noise that they get a lot of flack, from all the the conservative pot haters, the people that don't. People that don't agree with it, or even the sponsors that they have to cater to that don't want to send a message that's inconsistent with what they think about marijuana. That's what they have to deal with. But that's all changing. So
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, like even like how much is being legalized around North America and stuff. Like, it's legalized fully up here in Canada. So like, we got dispensaries on the corner. I think it's becoming a lot more common, and it's crazy now because you'll go to a dispensary and you'll see people of all ages there. And now it's like, the people that you thought were judging you when you were maybe at the beach sneakily trying to blaze or something are now the ones that you're seeing at the dispensary too. And you're like, oh, crazy. It's crazy how normal this is getting,
Justin, the first place that I ever smoked in public was Vancouver.
Oh, there you go. There you go. On that note, I'm going to blaze with you right now as well.
Yeah. I have to roll on Avenue or Street, Hastings Street. There were Brothers and Amsterdam Cafe next door to each other.
There you go. Yeah. It's weird because I know it just got legalized, but when you're in downtown Vancouver, it's felt like it's been legalized for a while.
That was the first time I was inside a place where it was okay. Like, I'm smoking and looking around people, and it's a well-lit place. They're smoking. Everyone's got a good vibe. It's not a dark, everyone's drinking and yelling like assholes, and I was just it felt so good. You know, I was like I was kind of one of their promoters. Guide the boys in WWE, but you have to come with me to this place, man. It's so great. You'd walk across the street to the park to get it if you didn't have it, and people would walk around and they'd come up to you and ask you what you're looking for, and then they would hand you I don't know, it's probably like what we would call an eighth, and to be wrapped up in a paper towel. You give them money, they'd hand you it wrapped up in a paper towel. You just go right in there, break it up, and roll it, and it was so liberating. I remember, like, but yeah, I mean, that was so long ago, because now, you know, I just take liberties and smoke, even in places that might be rude to other people. Sometimes when I think about it, like, that was rude smoking up the whole dressing trailer for all those acts. Nobody smoked.
Absolutely.
No, fair enough. One thing before we move on, though, when the pandemic ends, Rob, and the world opens up, the 420 festival that happens here now, because now that's legalized, is insane, and I think you should definitely come up here for that.
Yeah. Well, we got some stuff going on. As you may guess, we got some plans. We'll see how it goes, but Las Vegas is putting together a pretty good 420 fest, and I
bet
that's going to be a destination spot for a lot of 420 fans.
For sure.
No, absolutely. But, you know, moving forward, I did want to talk about, you know, this year kicking off, but also you have your WWE Icons documentary dropping. Like, how is it like filming that and, like, you know, meeting with WWE executives and producers again?
The RVD Rob Van Dam Icons show is going to be so fucking good. Like,
I can't wait.
Yeah, people are going to love it. It's going to get, you know, I really enjoyed filming it. I might be done. I don't know if I am right now, but they're definitely still interviewing other people to get, you know, the secondhand perspective. But we filmed some really cool shit. And, you know, when people see it, they're going to be amazed. They're going to be like, why the fuck isn't RVD in the ring right now? Good. And it tells my story, you know. I mean, Katie's in it a lot, of course, and they really showcase, you know, what she is in my story, and I'm really looking forward to it.
No, absolutely.
But
like,
I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So, like, you know, with this documentary releasing, like, is there any sort of possibility that you would ever, you know, consider coming back to the WWE? Has there any, you know, been talks at all?
Well, one thing that I know is that there's no way that I would ever go back to the schedule that I was on. You know what I mean? Right now, pandemic, it doesn't look like anybody's doing that schedule, but I don't expect that to last that much longer. You know, it looks like, my perspective, like the world's starting to open back up again, and so I expect there to be some shows. In fact, I'm booked on a show coming up, Frontline Pro, April 3rd in Wisconsin. But you know, money talks. You know what I mean? Like, if it was right, you know, for me and worth it, then if it's worth it, it's worth it. You know what I mean? But definitely, I don't have any interest in being, you know, I don't get excited about working with the young kids. I don't miss being in the ring. I don't fucking care. You know, if it's worth it, it's worth it. And it's not that I don't care, but it's just, you know, I go with the flow. That's how I make my decisions. And so,
and of course, it seems like you got a ton of projects going on as well. Like,
I wouldn't hold my breath waiting to see me wrestling on TV again. Let me put it that way. Hold your breath unless you just get a better buzz.
I guess so. But, you know, you talk about, you know, not being as excited to work with young guys. Well, because, you know, you've done everything you wanted to do. But, like, you know, you see an MJF, you see a Chris Bay. Has there been anyone, like, on television that kind of stands out to you at the moment?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of the guys, the standard is up so high, you know, now that now that I think the average size wrestler is, I don't know, 175 pounds. I think, I mean, there's some big boys in it, but overall representing the style, especially the guys that people want to see me work with, the standard is incredible. And when I was in Impact, watching the Treehouse Trio,
the Rascals.
Those guys are incredible. And they would ask me once in a while, pull me off to the side and ask if I had any advice or whatever. And that goes a long way, just knowing that they have, the respect like that. And, those guys and that TJ Parker and you mentioned
Chris Bay.
Chris Bay. And, I mean, everybody, even without that crazy style, I mean, just, I think Sammy Callahan and a lot of guys, even the bigger guy, like we call him a Gigantor. I don't know what, I can't think of what, but the big guy there, I don't know what his ring name is, but I mean, basically, as far as standing out, it's hard to stand out doing flips and fancy wrestling now.
That's
like
true.
I stood out doing that. Nobody else was doing it. Now that everybody's doing it, some of them stand out, maybe not in a positive way. Maybe it's like, maybe they stand out to me because I'm critiquing like some bad habits I see every time or whatever. It's hard to have the right combination of everything, the looks, the marketability, the moves, the whatever. But there's also some heels, that like, they're really hateable. And that makes them worth a lot of money too.
Absolutely.
No, that was actually a question I was wondering, because I'm like, for me, like, you were a pioneer in that sense of that high flying styles, like you, the cruiserweights, and there's a few people that you would expect to come out on television and they were going to hit that style, and you were waiting for it throughout the show to change the pace. But now it feels like it's more than not. So it makes you wonder if like was less more back in the day, like the fact that we got a mix of everything. There were some guys that would go out there and have like a technical wrestling match, and you get a Rob Van Dam out there working with like a Jeff Hardy, and you get that fast paced, high flying stuff. Do you feel like it's a little bit too much now?
It's too much for me. I don't know. I don't know about for the fans.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of fan too. It seems like, and so, if it works, but yeah, it clashes with my principles. But even the matches that you're talking about with me and Jeff Hardy, even those matches were being criticized by people that were like older than us because we're bridging the style, and I always heard less.
Less is more. Yeah.
When I was in WWE, I did learn to do a lot less and make it mean more. But way back, I'm thinking like in 92, 93, when I wrestled Rip Rogers, he was trying to get me to do just one kick, kick. And that way it means something. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And he'll still swear to that today and respond to it. If you ask him, he'll be like, yeah, I was trying to, my bad. I'm trying to make it mean something and make some money. It's like, well, I'm glad I didn't listen to that.
No, for sure. Because you were a stand-up for sure. I had another question because you kind of talked about it a little bit, though. Like, did you prefer working with guys more your size? Did you enjoy telling the stories with the bigger guys? Because from Jeff Hardy to The Undertaker, like, you worked with big and small,
Right. Well, I think it really depended on the individual. Jeff Hardy is one of my favorite guys to wrestle. Someone like Sabu, Rey Mysterio. I like those kind of matches. Those are entertaining to me. But then there's some guys, that are really big. Like I loved working with Bam Bam Bigelow. And when I had the ECW TV title run, I loved that we were, I went through the whole roster, and then we were bringing guys in from other companies, All Japan, the Giant Kamala. He was the Kamala too. They called him in Japan.
Yeah.
But he was a really big guy, and of course, One Man Gang and Bam Bam Bigelow. Those were big guys, but I loved being able to try to have the best match, regardless of who I was in the ring with, because I was really working on my craft at that time with the TV title. And I knew that what I wanted was consistency. I wanted to be the whole fucking show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like Dudley, Little Guido, or whether it was, fucking giants, like, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. But you talk about having other guys come into ECW at the time. But, recently we just saw like Christian Cage sign and, Paul White. Like, what are your thoughts on like the AEW and TNA partnership as well? Because, Ethan Page just made his debut.
Yeah. I think that's really cool. I thought in 2001 when I got to WWE, I didn't even know about the alliance till I showed up day one to work.
Man.
Yeah, I thought that I had sold out and that they were going to do something silly with me, and I was like, there was nothing else left, in the United States at that time. But if I wanted to be a TV wrestler, but anyway, I thought that was really cool as far as making history. WCW and ECW, and up to fight WW. F and then get the F out. But that was fucking cool, I thought, So right now I think, it's pretty cool to see Impact and AEW working together like that. There's not too many more companies that I know about that are on television. There's a few. I don't know if they're up there with those two. I think those are the top two besides WWE and its byproducts. So pretty cool.
No, absolutely.
I was curious to take it back for a minute. I remember back in the late 90s when you guys originally were doing that WWF ECW feud where Jerry Lawler was coming over to ECW and you guys were coming to Raw. And I was just curious, was there any long-term plans of you staying in WWE at the time? Because I remember you kept coming out with Lawler and you were Mr. Monday Night, and it seemed like you were going to be around for a bit, but then it kind of all just stopped.
Yeah, well, whose plans are we talking about?
WWE's, I was wondering, yeah.
Yes. Yes, and what I know about it is all just from one conversation that happened at the climax when everything kind of exploded, and the one day at Cobo Hall, because we all had our own mindsets going into this, and Paul really marinated the ECW guys and got us to all be thinking like, watch your fucking. He would tell us, watch your back. Don't leave your bags in the dressing room when you're not there. They hate us being. This is their show. It's very political. They hate us being on their show. They. I don't know how long this is going to last. Anytime something doesn't feel right, let me know and we'll leave, because we might get 2 weeks out of it. I don't know, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's and we didn't know, but that motherfucking manipulator already was working for WWE, getting money, like all that shit. But we didn't know, and so when we're there. I found like some of the guys, like Owen Hart he was exceptionally cool. And I thought, well, that's not, it doesn't feel like what Paul was saying, like he was cool.
Yeah.
So he came up to me and said, man, I like it when RVD's here. I got 5 new moves just watching your match today. He's going to steal my moves. But Jeff Hardy in the debut. What happened was I had a few weeks there, and and I'm beating their guys and thinking that, and the guys probably don't like putting over someone from another company. Believe it or not, most of the guys don't like being on their back anyway. I'm one. I mean, you got to sell it. Like okay, cool, whatever. But really, though, it's like fuck. Like this is how you want to. That's how you're gonna make your money out of me. Fuck that. But that goes on inside when it's like. Cool, good idea. Yeah, let's do that. But anyway, I'm beating Scorpio and I don't know, the Headbangers and the Jeff Hardy thing, whatever. And then they started. Well, I didn't like the direction because at first, Paul's saying we're there to get ECW over on their television. Put us on the map. We can, however long it lasts, we can use this momentum, bring it back to ECW, and it'll help us out a lot. So that's the goal. That's my agenda. So I didn't like, why am I teaming with Jerry Lawler now against the Headbangers? I'm getting separated from the ECW roster and stuff. It felt like. And then one night I'm wrestling Brian Armstrong, and they came and told me, that he was going over, and I went to Paul, and I'm like, what is this? What kind of story does this tell for ECW? And ECW is on WWE's television showing that their guys are dominant. Like, what is that doing for us? And Paul's like, you want to go? Let's go. Let's. And I was just, Paul, hey, I'm trying to have a conversation. I'm this doesn't feel right. What do you think? Like, you call it. It was totally like that. And well, it ended up. I wasn't gonna go out there feeling like that, and it ended up. I had me and Sabu got pulled into a room with Vince McMahon, first time. I mean, I've been there for however many weeks, never talked to the guy except shaking his hand hello. And this is where I hear him saying, well, of course, I planned on you staying here. I never would have put you on my television. I see you as being a baby face, long term, an aggressive baby face. And I was just like, what? It was so alien to me that I couldn't even accept that.
Yeah.
Because, I felt like I was there as a soldier, fighting for my team. And so that wasn't what I was ready to hear. And we walked. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy because I did feel that way. That's what I wanted to ask. Because that was my first exposure to you. Like, I was a little kid and I was watching WWF at the time. Didn't really get to see ECW at the time. And that was my exposure to Rob Van Dam. I'm like, I have the tapes still, like the VHS tapes. And I'm like, for weeks, you're on this show, like for weeks straight with Jerry Lawler. And I'm like, oh, I think he's full-time WWF now. And then you just were gone. And I was like, oh, I wonder what, I always wondered, I'm like, what happened? So thank you for sharing that story.
Oh, that's,
so, on the note of Vince McMahon, though, I like to ask this question usually, though, because everyone seems to always remember their first compliment from Vince McMahon. Do you remember the first time you went through Gorilla and you got complimented for a match or something from Vince?
No, but I'll go with the memory that just popped up. That definitely wasn't the first or anything. When I got to WWE in 2001, pretty soon I had the hardcore title, and I was happy because now I was right. That's my environment. Throw the rule book out. Let's get creative. Let's do some punishment. I always that's one thing that obviously I got out of my career is I enjoyed showing the punishment I could endure. You know what I mean? It's a fighting art form, and that's one of the outlets or expressions for showing how tough you are. It's not for regular people. You go through so many car crashes in a minute in that ring. I'm trying to rewind now and get what the fucking question was. Vince. Okay.
Yeah.
Title, and you guys might remember this, I don't know, but word was that RVD was a little stiff, and people were getting busted open left and right, mostly from the Van Dam.
Yeah,
they would catch the chair, and they would just look through the little crack between the seat and the back, crack, and then I would kick it, and it's. Anyway, that happened a lot. I busted Raven open and Test open and Scott. Oh no, that is Raven. Whoever. Anyway, one. People are talking. Just people, not Vince. One night I wrestled Kurt Angle, and I have him face down on the TV announcer's desk, and I jumped up on the desk and I did a leg drop on the back of his neck. Boom. Put his chin open, and after the match, when I walked through the Gorilla, Vince was there, and I just remember, I don't know why I said this, but I remember saying, oh, hey, sorry, I caught your boy out there. I don't know why I said your boy, but I just remember saying, I didn't even talk like that, But I remember saying that. I don't know. It was always weird talking to Vince, especially he was intimidating, But and he said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Oh, he busted his below his lip." He's like, busted open. He's getting some stitches or whatever. And Vince goes, "Well, he'll learn to turn his head next time, then, won't he?"
Wow.
In the meantime, the internet was going crazy, saying I had so much heat. I never had heat with Vince.
That's awesome. How's your relationship with him today?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I text him on, Father's Days, birthday, stuff like that. He always hits me like right back. And, and I regret, hey, would you mind? I regret really not getting to know him a little bit better, but now at 50, like I have such a different perspective of everything in life, including my position in the universe. So when I look at how I was in my 30s, my mindset in the way I saw the world, I feel like I was a kid back then. I really do. Like I've grown like so much since then. And like back then, because I was in that competitive state of mind and because I was still, so close to my training foundation. This is the way I got trained. So I was like Sabu, you know what I mean? And if I saw a wrestler talking with an agent sitting at a table at Waffle House or stuff like that, I'd be one of the guys who'd be like, "Look at that kiss ass over there, man."
Yeah.
And that's how I was. And in my mind, I was like, I just want my talent to get me as far as it can. And then if I can't get any further, then I'm fine with that. Because that's what got me here. I don't want to have to kiss ass. And that's how I saw it. And I said that at the time several times. But if you get out of the reality of the wrestling locker room and you apply that to any other business, what's wrong with talking to a superior about any possible plans for the future or anything you could do better? There's nothing wrong with that, but I had to have my head up my ass to be in such a competitive mode to do what I was doing. And that's one of the things I can share now is a change of perspective. Like I wish I would talk to Vince a lot more. He's the most important man that I know.
No, absolutely. I think Vince deserves so much more credit because, like, you always hear the internet just like complaining, "Oh, Vince did that, Vince did that." But like in reality, I think Vince McMahon is really misunderstood. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's a totally different person. And like you mentioned, super nice, super genuine to you. So I think it's such a great, story to hear.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got different sides. He's always been only cool and super respectful to me. And I hate how everybody dumps every problem on the business in his life.
Exactly.
It's so stupid. Wrestlers make bad decisions and then fuck themselves up later in life. And then they go back to Vince as if it was his fault. And sometimes they wrestled for WWF like 3 matches in the 80s. And every time I agree with him in almost every single thing I've seen on YouTube where he's defending, his position, he's a very smart man. And I'm like, he's right. Why should he take responsibility for this?
Absolutely. I think, Vince McMahon is one of those guys that like after, when the day does occur, like people are going to miss him. And then the people who hated him are going to be like, man, like, that was Vince McMahon. But again, like, perspective is everything, I guess. So
can't wait for the Netflix documentary to come out. But
excited.
I guess
so excited.
Going to do with it. So so after it comes out, we'll have to wait for the other one to come out to show the other side, the unofficial one. Hey, can you see the RVD on the bottom of me, or do you see my shirt?
I see your shirt.
Oh, okay, because I see 2 of me and one says RVD from here down. But
I don't know. It looks good on ours.
Looks good on ours.
WrestleMerch.com. They got a bunch of cool shit. They
sure.
Right there. Boom. But like you have so many great stories to tell in terms of just, your early, I guess, career. On Instagram, you recently shared a story about, your early days of training. Have you ever considered starting your own podcast and like sharing some stories possibly?
Yes. Yes. I am preparing to start streaming on 1 or 2 platforms. And that's several, actually. Katie and I are going to have a channel, and we have several different shows planned that we want to do that are completely unrelated. 420 Fridays, you know what that's about in the title, right? But yeah, I have another story sharing project that hopefully real soon I'm going to start testing it and then doing something with it. But yes, it's called RVDology, and that's why I started doing that on Instagram, was to start trying to get that energy out there. And it fucking works like a charm. Everybody on there is like,
great.
Tell us more. We want to hear your voice. So it's fucking great. Yeah. Absolutely. 50 years, dude. I have a lot of stories, you know what I mean? And I personally, I watch the fuck out of the Mafia YouTube stories.
Yeah.
Sammy the Bull has the best one on right now. And, I really like his, and he's got the podcast, then he's got the YouTube where, he puts the shorter videos or whatever. And some of them are like just really basic, and some have, references and shit like that. But that's definitely something that I plan on talking about real soon.
I'm looking forward to that. That'd be great. There's a lot of podcasts, but the wrestling one's always the best because you guys obviously have the best stories. So it's always a pleasure. I had a quick question. I'm thinking about stories and stuff though.
One thing I want to say, that one of the best things about this idea for me, one of the reasons I'm so excited about it, is that these are stories that I feel like telling. As you can imagine, doing a lot of interviews, a lot of the questions come up that I've answered before, whatever. But these, if anyone has heard any of the stories that I have in mind, they're going to hear a whole different, version with different details. And that's exciting to me as well.
That honestly is the best part. Every episode could be catered to one thing, and you're just sharing your stories. Nobody knows your stories better than yourself, obviously, and we're all willing to listen and want to hear them. I was curious, working with Eddie Guerrero, though, right? I know you guys both did the frog splash, and I was always a fan of both of you guys' frog splashes. I love the height you used to get on yours. They were insane. Yeah. Was there ever a competition between you two if you guys were on the same show?
No, I mean, only the competition that you have in every single match. You know what I mean? Like if you're really at the top of your game and you're out there performing, you're trying to impress the crowd, but you're also trying to impress the guy you're in the ring with. You know what I mean? If you're like, whether it's with whatever, I sell in a way that the guy, the locker room, wants to get me an ambulance, and that's what I've always gone for.
Yeah.
And so if me and Eddie are both on the top rope at the same time, like when we tagged, and I would jump and he would jump, or however it would go, and we'd both. A few times, I think we crisscrossed each other and landed on other opponents and shit. That's as close as it came to competition. Was like, all right, people are going to be looking at both our shit at the same time. So I'm sure that in each of us, we both wanted to look, at least as good as the other one, not, inferior.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. But when I first saw RVD, it was at One Night Stand against John Cena, and at the time, yes, I was a Cena fan, but I thought RVD was the coolest motherfucker ever. Like, he'd come out there just stealing shows, beating everybody. So talk to me about some of the original plans that happened after you won the WWE title that just, I guess, never came full circle.
Well, this is something that I don't have a whole lot to talk about because I'm not connected to plans, like I just said before about, I would look at people that were talking to the story writers or even building relationships with Vince or whatever. I'd be looking like, oh, suck ass. My mind would tell me shit like that. So the last thing I wanted to ever hear was plans, because one, I never believed them until they were going to happen, because
that's true.
My whole career is about people giving me plans, then them not happening, and then, okay, we're going to make these plans, then that doesn't happen, then this one does, then the next one does, the next one doesn't. So after a while, you're like, you know what? I'm going to be skeptically optimistic and just believe it when it happens. And that's how I felt about winning the championship. You know, I would not allow myself to believe that was going to happen until I was up on the top rope, you know, and then I was like, fuck, this is going to happen. You know, I was like, one more move. I got this. I really, you know, till that, I wouldn't let myself believe it. So who knows? I heard recently when I was doing an interview that I only held the championship for like 2 weeks. I didn't even realize it was that quick. I don't remember very many times, but wow, that's pretty quick. So one would assume, even if I was going to transition it, that maybe it would have lasted longer than that. But, you know, I was just the right guy for ECW. And so that's why that happened, because I changed the whole playing field by bringing ECW back and sticking to my guns. And that's why that accomplishment, you know, was such a victory for me. I was fighting for that hardcore spirit for all the fans that were there and everything. And then, you know, when I dropped the title, same thing. I was in Philadelphia. Fuck yeah, I brought home the gold. And then I come there and I fucking got pinned by Big Show. Paul, I think, made it out. Everyone was like throwing their you know, their beverages and everything into the ring, and I was just like, oh my god, I felt like so low, like, dude, I fucked up, I let everybody down. That was a pretty shitty feeling to remember.
But it was great to see you win the championship as someone that was a fan for such a long time. And, you know, it was like, oh, he's finally winning I remember rooting for you against Triple H in 2002 when they were slowly getting Evolution together. I was like, that Unforgiven pay-per-view, I'm like, I wanted Rob Van Dam to win.
I did too.
Yeah. But like, you were always there. You're always one of my favorite people to tune in. So when you finally reach that mountaintop, like, whether it's 2 weeks or 2 days, it was just like a euphoric feeling for that moment. Like, oh, he finally did it. Like, this is awesome. Like, we've been rooting for him since, you know, years now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I felt like there were a lot of people behind me, you know, at that point. So, you know, I kind of had, it probably took me a lot of years to be able to reflect on it like I do now and think like, yeah, you know, I guess, you know, prospectively, I disappointed a lot of people. Not that it was my choice to get beat, you know, that's a whole other conversation, you know. No such thing as innocent until proven guilty situation like that. But, you know, the ECW went down the toilet afterwards, and I wonder if that was going to be the plans anyway, then, you know, then I wasn't the poster boy that they wanted for WWE. That's for sure. You know, I was very risky, and I would have been voted most likely to get pulled over for smoking marijuana if you took out of everyone in the dressing room. So, you know, they take a chance, and boom, you know, it kind of backfired.
No, absolutely. You talk about like energy and, you know, negative energy. Do you believe, like, you know, I feel like when it comes to RVD and Jeff Hardy, like, you guys are kind of like-minded. Like, I don't know, I get the vibe.
And I agree, you know, always have. You know, Matt's cool too, but I've always just connected with Jeff. Like, we both seem to have a similar vibe, and that's what he puts out there. You know, even if something's bothering him, sometimes you can't really tell. And I've had that said about me too. I remember being really in a bad mood and having Bischoff walk by me and say, "Rob, you know something about you? You just always seem like you're in such a good mood. You just give off this positive energy. It's always such a pleasure to see you." And I was like, well, that's good to know, you know, because I wasn't feeling that good inside, but that helped make me feel better, you know. But yeah, I've always gotten along with Jeff.
So I had a question, but this is more for not Rob Van Dam the wrestler, but Rob the person and the fan of wrestling. And I feel like you're the perfect person to ask, because I've always had this opinion, and I've told this to a lot of my friends that even kind of stopped watching wrestling now as I got a bit older. I'm like, yo, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Watching wrestling high just enhances it so much as a product as a whole. You care less about what's going on critically, and you just are able to enjoy the show. And I know this is the same thing when it comes to music and movies, but I want to ask you, like, do you agree with that?
Well, for me, it's hey Petrie, come here. For me, I would say doing everything is better. I smoke a lot, and so I don't get high, you know, like people that don't that don't smoke that much, they smoke and then they're high. You know, for me, it feels like it puts me at my best. You know, it gets it increases my spiritual vibration. You know, puts me in a good mood. It helps me. You know, some people they can't concentrate when they smoke.
Oh, yeah.
They think everybody's like that. But if you're a functional toker and you do that as part of your healthy lifestyle, then it actually can help you focus by, you know, blocking out like distractions and stuff that would overwhelm you and shit like that. So I think my answer is going to be completely different. But, you know, usually the only time I don't smoke is just because I just haven't yet. You know?
Fair enough. On that note, though, now I'm curious, and I'm sure this is like an obvious answer, I'm assuming, but you're still definitely in the market of creating maybe a THC product under the Rob Van Dam brand, correct?
Yes, but that's you know, I had to add a couple of details because that's kind of a vague statement. Someday, sure, maybe, possibly, someone else will be, or I'll be in on, or my team in on creating it, but it'd be more of a royalty where it's somebody else's, and I have a royalty for it, just like with action figures or anything else. But it's licensed by each state, so that makes a big difference. But to answer your question. You know, probably it won't be me creating a THC product under my umbrella so much, although it might appear like that, but it's probably going to be a collaboration with someone that's already doing stuff out there. Quite likely, we'll start with pre-rolls. It looks like maybe an extract as well. And there are people that are already doing it, and we're like, hey, you know, let's look at let's try a few samples, and if need be, tweak them, and bam, let's put this on it right here.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. But I had a question. Like, as a fan, like, I'm curious. Like, you know, with WWE producing some, you know, decent television as of late, like SmackDown's been really good. So as a fan, like, do you watch the current product? Like, do you check it out on YouTube, or like, have you checked anything out?
I watch wrestling sometimes, and I don't keep up with the storylines, but I will watch it with Katie sometimes because Katie's, you know, still learning, and so when we watch it, I'll point out stuff to her, you know, good or bad. Pause it, rewind, notice that, see that, and so I do that. Time I get to catch a lot of what's out there. Sometimes I listen on the YouTube. I listen to the updates that people put out there, but usually there might be like one line that grabs me, and then the rest is, you know, shit I don't care about. Storylines with what's really going on or whatever. They do, you know, like they'll say, oh, so and so is having an abortion, and that's just part of the storyline. It's like, oh man, they got me.
No, absolutely. But like, you know, as a fan, like with the progression of Matt Riddle recently, do you like think that WWE portrays him to be like this like weird stoner character? Because I know Justin was gonna talk about that actually. And
no, I think Matt Riddle is a tremendous wrestler. Like from everything I saw on him, from
he's great. Yeah.
NXT, like he's been great. But I feel like character-wise, they're trying to portray him as this like laid-back stoner character, and it kind of oddly like takes away from his wrestling ability. I was curious if you kind of felt the same way, but I'm not sure if you've been watching. So,
do they mention or even joke about like stoner jokes with
no,
him?
but you kind of know what they're trying to do. Like he started talking to a puppet and roaming around with donuts like he was selling munchies, and he's very bro. And I was like, and I've had a lot of conversations with people who are like they're portraying it like the way they might think a person would act when it's not really the way a person would act in that state of mind.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. And I get a lot of people on social media saying that, you know, that he's, you know, a new version, or that they're trying to make him like me. You know, when I was there, they didn't understand me. Like Paul is the only guy I think that ever really understood me and had my best interest at heart out of like agents, bookers, whatever. But when I first got there, you know, they thought that my laid back attitude that it took away from my wrestling. I don't know if you felt that way, but just like you said about Matt Riddle, they felt like that about me. And so they were trying to change me, and I was, you know, resisting it because I was stubborn. Stop it. And I was resisting it because I didn't want to change, and you know, I thought that I had everything, whatever. But I remember one time, and they wanted me to first thing they wanted me to get rid of my airbrush outfits, and they
Oh,
wanted
what?
Those are like the coolest things.
Yeah.
So they wanted WWE to make me outfits that would be made out of the material, I guess, like Kurt Angle's or whatever, whatever. And they made it, and you can see a few pictures of it because it's black. It has a red dragon. It's so basic, but you know, it was black and it had a few patches on it, maybe a yin yang here, RVD here, a dragon here, and it was. And I wore that for a short time, and then I just went back to my airbrush outfits and started wearing that on the non-televised shows because the airbrush outfits wear out. You know, they really quick. So I would say, and I don't think anybody told me. I think I just did that on my own. I was like, these suck.
Yeah.
Back. But I remember Michael Hayes one time during this time coming up to me and saying, you know, the other guys in the office, they don't get you, but I do. I understand. He goes, you're a surfer dude, right? And he said they don't get you, you know, a little bit. We're not sure about all the tie dye. Like he thought my outfits were tie dye. That's not what tie dye is, but So you know,
fair enough.
I can see where Matt's in a position like that, like I was in. You know, he is a stoner. You know, I met him at the in the grotto of the Playboy Mansion.
Oh wow.
No,
I think the difference between you and him was like I think it worked for you because your wrestling style was also very unique for that period of time too. With Matt, I think a lot of us will get confused because he has like that MMA background, so he's like a shooter. But then the portraying him this one, it's like, what do we want? Do we want the shooter, Matt Riddle? Do we want this one to do both work together? It gets a little complicated in that sense, I think.
I think that's part of being there, you know, and having so many different people pulling you in different directions. You know, I felt like when I was there, I went through cycles of frustration where I hated the way that they saw me. Just I could see from just reading the promos made me realize they think I'm a fucking asshole. They think I'm an idiot. Like this is how they take this. And then but then something cool would happen. I'd be like, no, fuck that. You know, I got the hardcore title. I'm good now. You know, and then I'd lose that, and I'd be like, oh my god, what? I'm teaming with who? Or I got to do what? You know, and that's what happened again. But I think that's part of it. I think that's part of the cycle, part of the machine that they have up there. You know.
Yeah, because it does feel like sometimes. Like if someone could be more their authentic self, you can tell when someone's saying stuff that's not really them, or it sounds like it's not what they would say as a person or character. It's evident sometimes.
Yeah, something that comes to mind was when I first got there, they wanted to do a bit of a romance angle with Stephanie and myself, and my evil ex was like the most insecure bitch on the planet, and I was just thinking like, oh my god, like this is. Oh my, you know, like I'm just gonna cause me so much grief at home and everything. I was like, no, I got, you know, and we had a talk, me and Stephanie, and she said, you know, just think of this like you're an actor, and, you know, and I was like, well, that's cool, except call me Joe Blow because I've been Rob Van Dam for the last, you know, 10 years, and so that's a compromise. Is like you have somebody else besides you that shares your intellectual property, but also your person. You know, they share the decisions that your person would make in their universe, and sometimes it stretches outside of their universe too. You know, because they have their tentacles of control. You know, reach out. There's been people, you know, that whether they got tattoos or weren't in dress code when they were off business or whatever, you know, there's been definitely things outside of it too, that's evident, you know, that it's not just you anymore. When you sign that big deal, you're sharing the right to make decisions about you, about your character, about your direction, about your value, about your beliefs, as people will know you.
No, absolutely. I think you have such a great outlook on it because like you were, you know, never that like person who was down in the locker room. You always brought like that, that happiness and just like you got to get out there and just do what you got to do. And you always believed in your craft. So like, I wanted to ask, like, with life in general, like, do you believe in the unknown?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Yeah, I think because it's just so different than the way that I think, not to put people down, but I find it ridiculous when people have to have an answer, so they just make something up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But Katie's like that a lot of times, though. I'm very non-committing to non-facts. You know what I mean? Like Katie will draw a conclusion like that. It looked like he was over there. Okay. Oh, boom. So that means that he did this and this. I don't know that. What do you mean? All I know is it looked like this happened and this happened. And then, okay, no, that's important shit. It's not just from watching legal shows, but I mean, it's facts. So, part of being good at what and part of being good at, I don't know, I think life in general is knowing what you don't know.
Absolutely.
100%, I agree. You got to be ready for whatever, right? Otherwise, you're gonna stall yourself from things that could happen. I was gonna ask because you did bring up the airbrushed outfits. Did you have a particular favorite one at all? I know you had so many, so it's probably hard to believe, but I mean to pick.
I probably don't. I mean, I really like the one that looked like it was made of steel that I wrestled Doug Furnace in and Kikuchi in Japan.
Yeah.
That was inspired by some Japanese artist named Soriyama. There was a story behind it when the airbrush artist drew it. Nobody knows about that shit, but that's cool. I like the Iron Man outfit. They're all pretty cool. I really don't have just one that stands out as my favorite. In fact, I don't even think I have a favorite color. I'm not good at favorites. I think
Fair enough.
having favorites, I think, is too committing. I'm too open-minded to have favorites.
Absolutely. But I did want to ask, like, what are some like future plans like that you hope to like achieve by the end of this year? Like, you have documentary out, you're working on a lot of projects like you mentioned.
Dude, I'm taking over this year. Like everyone's gonna see so much RVD, you're gonna be sick of it. I've already filmed so much shit that's coming out. Some of it a lot of people won't see. Some of it a lot of people will see. And on the business end, with the ventures that I have going, they've been in a very positive direction. Planned agenda, and watching that, and it's stuff that when I can talk about it, it's going to be basically it's going to be basically like life changing for that part of my life. And so basically there's a lot of rumors about stocks and stuff like that, and I can't talk about a lot of it, so I can't. They think they know it all. They don't know it all. They know some, but pretty soon, hopefully, this has been in the works for a long time, but this is one of the many great things that's going to be happening this year. And a lot of stuff, that I'm looking forward to doing that streaming that I was talking to you about. But I have like so many things on the table that are, in different stages of production. It's like I keep so busy. In fact, I agreed to do 3 or 4 podcasts like this one this week, and I have more requests than I have time. You got to have time to balance out. Don't let anybody judge your time.
100%. I do want to say that on that note, like we really appreciate you doing this with us today.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been a pleasure for me because this is my first time getting to talk to you like this. I know Daniel did a podcast with you a little bit last year, and we'll definitely be supporting whatever you do moving forward. I've been a Rob Van Dam fan since I was a little kid. And on that note, I just want to share a quick story before we wrap things up. I actually did get to meet you once. And I want to talk about that because I was very intoxicated at the time I got to meet you. And it was a good story. Nothing bad necessarily happened, but it was at Wale Mania in 2018. And we were in the back, and I remember I'm sure I told you a story that you did not care about. Like I came there intoxicated from Bourbon Street, and it was just about like how my nickname was my initials AJD, and I stole that from you because you used to go RVD, and it's a nickname that lasted with me for my entire life. But the coolest part of it was, I remember at one point we were just standing around, everyone was kind of doing the thing, and it was me, you, and Smoke Dizza, and we were in a circle. And I politely asked, and you were smoking. And I politely asked him, like, "Oh, do you mind if I join the session?" And really quickly, you just did one of those like shoulder shrug things, like you're thinking about it. And then Dizzo's like putting me over. He's like, "No, it's the wrestling classic. He's a good guy." This and that. And you're like, "Yeah, okay, sure." And then we kind of all blazed together. But it was so funny because I woke up the next morning, and I'll show you a picture from that night if you don't mind. That was from that night. But I remember the very next morning, waking up, and I was like sleeping on a hotel room floor because the whole trip was last minute. It was a whole situation, and I DM'd Smoke Dizza, and I was like, "Hey, bro, I'm like, did we blaze a Raw Van Dam yesterday?" And he's like, "Yeah, we did, bro." Fuck, I'm like, yo, like, I think all wrestling fans kind of have like a wrestling bucket list. Like for me, there's a few things like I want to go to a WWE show in Madison Square Garden to watch, and I want to maybe one day go watch a Wrestle Kingdom in the Tokyo Dome. But I was like, I never knew this was on my wrestling bucket list, but I got stoned with Raw Van Dam. That's on my wrestling bucket list now, and it's checked off. So thank you. I appreciate it. It's a memory I hold with me forever because it's one of the coolest things that got to happen to me as someone who was a childhood fan of yours. That was my fanboy moment.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. It's on a lot of people's bucket lists, actually.
Yeah. I never thought it was going to happen, so thank you.
Yeah, dude, there was a lot of drinking going on at that party, too. I remember it was after the trip, I don't know how many days later, I saw on Twitter some fan talking about me being on stage dancing with Wale. And I'm like, Katie, I totally didn't. Katie was like, "You did." I'm like, "I didn't dance."
I'll check my videos I have maybe on it because I have videos of me on stage dancing too, and I don't even remember going up there. Mm-hmm. It was just that easy access to get to the stage. And while he was rapping, you were just like up there. I'm like, yeah.
I think all it was I did this shoulder. We were holding on each other's shoulders and did like the showgirl kick or whatever.
Yeah.
That's about as far as I'll go. I'm way too cool to shake. Make it.
Fair enough.
Absolutely. But on that note, I want to thank you, RVD, for taking the time to do round 2 of the interview. And like, where can everybody find you on social media?
I'm at the real RVD everywhere, and RVDCBD is right there. CBD.com and RVDCBD on Instagram, and that's the best.
Sweet.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time this interview. I can't wait for everybody to check it out. But as of right now, take it easy. What a lifestyle. I want to thank Justin once again for co-hosting. Thank you so much, bro.
Thanks for having me. And thanks again, Rob Van Dam, for letting us interview you today. It was a pleasure.
Have an excellent day.